Hey, you know what? It's CineMcCollough, and we here at CineMcCollough occasionally do Star Trek. And occasionally, when we do Star Trek, we do Star Trek novels. Well, do we have a surprise for you? Because our collections have grown slightly, and we have been gifted an LP with a couple short stories in terms as audio stories, books performed by voice authors, and we're going to do the first one of those Star Trek stories for you tonight. It's Butch here, and I'm with my buddy Rob. Hey, Rob, what do you got to say?
Hey,
that is correct. Yes, we are glad to be here for this. Our buddy Dom bought each of us. He found it at a thrift store. He found these LPs from the late 70s. I think this was from '79. When this particular thing was published, but from what I'm told, these stories existed before that. So these stories were produced by Peter Pan Records in 1975, which is right after the year after the animated series ended. The animated series was 73 to 74. The original series was 66 to 69, and these came out in 75, or at least this one did. So that's exciting. And this story is the first of three that are on the disc. It is Passage to Moauv, Moauv. Try pronouncing that 3 times. Just try pronouncing that 1 time. Regular speed. It's a nightmare. But anyway, so what'd you think of the disc when Dom presented you with a disc of 3 children's audio book stories on Star Trek?
Well, I was thrilled. Of course, Dom's a great guy, and
Yes.
and I always like expanding my Star Trek collection. Remember that the books I found, Mission to Horatius. Those were aimed at
that is
teens,
exactly
but
right.
it was that was fun. Of course, we've done all the pocket and bantam novels, not all of them, but I mean
all the bantams. We did all the bantams. We've done some of the pockets. Yes.
So it was fun. It's just another way to add a little more, another layer to the Star Trek kick, I guess.
Yeah, and when we saw the records, I mean, I read the stuff that's on the record, and on the outer container it says, original stories for children inspired by Star Trek, and I was like, okay, is this even going to be a Star Trek story, or are they just going to put Star Trek packaging on it and it'll be some other science fiction story, or maybe it'll be like a Star Trek story but only sort of a Star Trek story? But I think we got something legit here. Let me tell you. This is what I read. Again, all I have is this record that doesn't really have any information about it. But of course, when I got the record, unfortunately, my record was slightly damaged and does not play. So I was forced to listen to it on YouTube. And while I'm on the internet, I'm like, I'll just go to Memory Alpha and look this up. This story, at least, Passage to Moauv, is written by a gentleman named Alan Dean Foster.
Ooh.
That Alan Dean Foster. We remember Alan Dean Foster from writing the novelizations. There were the log 1 through 10. Those are the novelizations of the animated episodes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't write the ones that were the novelizations of the original series episodes, but he did write the novelizations of the animated series episodes. So he's familiar with the characters and all that stuff of the show, and so that's why we get one of those characters in here. So not only did he write all the logbooks, but he also wrote the novelization for Star Trek 2009 and Star Trek Into Darkness. And he gets the story writing credit for Star Trek: The Motion Picture, because that novel, of course, was written by Gene. You're gonna have to help me here. The novel was written by Gene Roddenberry, but the story.
Story and Brandy.
That's right, exactly. Give me Brandy. Yeah, we won't be hearing that in this story. This story is definitely for a younger audience.
Did he write? Hey Butch, did Alan Dean Foster write any episodes of the animated series? Because they're all about 20 minutes. Also,
feels like he did. I think when I listened to the to the podcast about the original series, and then they went and did the animated series. It feels like they had him as a guest on the show, and he had written a couple of them or whatever. So it's pretty interesting. Yeah, so he definitely knows the characters, and that being said, I think some of the novelizations of the episodes were a little bit strange. What I was wondering about was who wrote it, and then how's it going to sound, because they're not using our actors as voice actors. But I thought that the people that we got a little bit of a mixed bag. I thought some of them were really good at kind of doing an impression of the characters.
Yeah, I thought Bones sounded almost like DeForest Kelley.
Yeah, he says he was always the kind of angry Bones, but but that's okay. When is Bones not angry? It's like, how often is Bones calm and collected anyway? So that's good. I thought, how did you consume this today? Did you put the record in? Did you?
I did not put the record on. We had our granddaughter over, so I watched it on YouTube because they have they play it with the comic book visuals.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a sec. I'm not the only one who saw they were talking about Uhura, but they were showing Lieutenant Palmer, right? Lieutenant Palmer was the blonde lady.
Sulu seems slightly different as well.
And Sulu was totally Lieutenant Boma. So we're seeing the same thing, all right. And then we got Kirk, Spock, and McCoy are the big three, which is natural. I mean, that's how it always is, right? Especially season 3 on and stuff like that. Then Uhura is on the bridge running comms, and she gets a little bit, aggressive at one point with.
And she's a hot white chick.
Hot white chick, that's right. Hot blonde chick, absolutely. Sulu is also there, and he's not doing a whole lot. Although they do put him in command when Kirk and Spock got to both go below decks at some point to wrestle a kitty cat. You might think I'm making a joke. That's literally what they're doing. They're going to go wrestle a kitty cat. And then Chapel is name dropped but doesn't appear, right? McCoy says something like, "Me and Chapel are working on people down here. There's a lot of scratching and biting going on." And then we meet somebody named Ensign Prentice who gets I wrote down he got a bit of the Ted Nugent treatment, is what I wrote down. It's cat scratch fever.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. Yeah, I was like, wait, what?
And then Chekhov and Scotty, nowhere to be found, and that's okay, right? This is a breezy 16 and a half minutes, so yeah.
Yeah, but it was fun. It like you said, the voice actors were pretty close. By the way, Butch, I don't think you have ever tried this yet, but did you try that Star Trek show on YouTube that I told you about?
Oh, Star Trek Continues. I have not. Yes.
That's
a good project for this next 2 weeks. I have a lot of time on my hands.
Because it took me a couple episodes to get used to the fact that, it's kind of like the voice actors in this. Some of them are sort of close to the, original actors, and some of them are not real close. But, the stories were all well written, and they had what seemed like the same exact sets. Yeah. And then they closed it with an episode that I thought was, would have been a worthy way to close the original series. I mean, it was
had
amazing.
They actually done an actually closing episode of the original
series. And it was really good. It was a 2-parter. So I'm giving them a shout out and encouraging you to give that show a try, because they had some interesting episodes, and a lot of the guest stars from the original were from the original series. So I
did hear that. So I have a lot of time off this week, so I think I'll give a try for that.
I think they had 10 episodes.
All right, so those are a couple things that I was talking about. I will ask this question: did this episode echo any from the original series that come to mind off the top of your head?
Well, I mean, the ferrying a difficult passenger.
Yes.
That feels like we've hit that before on, Journey to Babel or
Alana Troyes, maybe. Yes.
Alana Troyes, yeah, for sure.
I wrote those two, and Is There in Truth No Beauty, even though that's a Medusan, but kind of ferrying people from A to B, and things go wrong while you're ferrying people from A to B.
And there weren't any dancing plague rats, but I was kind of getting some of that vibe too. You chase a problematic critter. You know, so it felt to me, it felt like, yeah, this belongs.
Yeah. I was kind of pleased with that. Like I said, the idea that you're taking a very simple idea. They don't have a lot of time, so they jump right into kind of things going haywire, right? But we do get a little bit of Spock versus McCoy in there, and Kirk's kind of frustrated with why is stuff going wrong, you know, and stuff like that, and you know, I just want my chicken sandwich and coffee. What's going on? Yeah, that kind of thing. I thought that was fun.
Yeah, I thought we were getting kind of irritable Kirk, which was fun. He was kind of like Trouble with Tribbles Kirk, you know, a little snappy.
Yeah. The what? Yeah, and it had a very Trouble with Tribbles kind of ending too. Although the idea that it has kind of like a fun times with a growing furry population, kind of fun times.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
There. So I thought, So there are 3 of these that we're aware of. There were 3 on our that we have titles for. We will do 3 short episodes, 1 each of them, and then we will, of course, do what we do, which is rank these 3 episodes. So we started with the first one listed, and that is this one that we've been talking about, Passage to Moauv.
And Butch, didn't you say that you thought there were 3 other wrecks in this series? So maybe we can do those.
Yeah, we're going to see if we can track anything else down. We will definitely add them to the series whenever we manage to track them down, for sure. This feels like a very fun way to spend just a short amount of time. It's breezy, in and out kind of thing. So very nice. All right, so let's talk about it. We opened the episode with a captain's log, which I was told that the animated series started every single episode with a captain's log, every single one. It happened a lot in the original series, but sometimes it happens when they're beaming down to a planet and you don't get the voiceover. They all start the animated series. Every episode starts with captain's log, start date. You know,
I like it. I have the animated series, but I have never watched all of them. Have you, Butch?
I did. I did a watch through. I did. They had them on in the backgrounding it when I was working during the first 2 weeks of COVID. When I thought I was going to be home for 2 weeks, I was like, that's a good thing. I'll have that on in the background while I'm sitting on my couch and doing my editing and stuff like that. So I can't say I watched it a lot, but I was there in the room where the episodes were happening, and that's what really cued me in on. Yeah, you used to watch this because this music is very familiar to you. And I was not expecting it to what? Oh, what? That sounds familiar. Yeah. It's like dragging up a memory from the deep memory banks or whatever from Memory Alpha, as it were. So, so they open up and it's stardate 5440, and there's a cat interrupting the captain's log, meowing, or an actor pretending to be a cat. It's a fuzzy-looking Bill the Cat with 2 good eyes looking cat. He just one big long tongue sticking out away from being Bill the Cat is what I'm saying. And so he's interrupting the captain's log, and we don't really get a lot of details early, but he tells Bones, "Hey, can you take the cat down below decks?" Because this cat, apparently they were told they were going to be ferrying an ambassador from this starbase to Moauv, which is a planet that they're trying to get into the Federation. Because why do we try to get planets into the Federation in the original series, Rob?
So the Klingons don't get them.
Boom. That's exactly right. It's either us or the Klingons. We got to get it first. So they thought they were going to be ferrying an ambassador, but instead,
basically, Butch, the Federation's like the Yankees. They just want to pick up every free agent, even if we're not going to play them. We'll park them on the bench for $30 million a year.
See, you're behind. You have obviously not been watching the news this week because they are like the Dodgers. The Dodgers are who are doing this week, baby. The Dodgers got Shohei Ohtani. They got a pitcher who has the highest strikeout per 9 innings of all time from the Tampa Bay Rays. Yeah, the Dodgers are buying everybody. So the concept is the same. So let's just say that the Klingons are the Dodgers and the Federation is the Yankees. Let's just say it that way.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right. So they thought they were going to be ferrying an ambassador, but instead they're ferrying the ambassador's pet. and he's not happy about that. They feel like why are we wasting a time with a heavy cruiser jumping around doing this stuff? By the way, they did say we're a heavy cruiser. I think they said that, which is an interesting thing. It's something they never really established. They called it a starship. But
but we must have picked that up somewhere because we always thought of it as a heavy cruiser. Remember when we used to play a Star Trek game and stuff in the 80s?
Yeah. But I always, again, not knowing just how much of my Star Trek lore I learned from the animated series, because realizing that I had watched it and forgotten. I wonder how much of stuff,
a novel you read,
or a novel, or the board game, or whatever. Yeah. So they're a heavy cruiser that's wasting its time hauling a pet around.
For 2 weeks. It's going to take them 2 weeks to get there.
This is not the J.J. Abrams. Exactly right. Otherwise, we'd be there. We'd have been there and back already. But yeah, so 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. I was waiting for it.
Yeah, and apparently we learned that it is a pet Moauv. Moauv is what it's called. And that's fun because Spock says, well, I used to have a pet Sailot of my own, which is something we heard briefly in Journey to Babel. There's a whole episode on that pet Sailot in the animated series, right, where they go back in time and you see young Spock.
Which those two guys in the podcast, I think, said was like the best episode or one of the best of the animated series. It's
considered the best episode of the animated series, right, because it's very much kind of like backstory on Vulcan and stuff like that. So that, and I think if you're going to do a story for kids, put a pet in there, right? And preferably a non-talking pet, although we hear a lot of meow in this, so I guess it is a talking pet.
Didn't they have like some sort of feline crew member in the animated show too?
I'm glad you asked that, because that is Lieutenant Maress, who was the backup communications officer, and we are going to meet her in this episode. Although, if you were watching the visuals, you didn't see a feline character, just like you didn't see Lieutenant Uhura or Lieutenant Sulu. But you saw Gamora from the Avengers in the comic books, or maybe the Klingon wife of Captain Kang or whatever with the eyeshadow or whatever. But so there is a Lieutenant Maress who's a kitty cat, who's a cat woman, basically,
she was a Black Swan, basically. She was,
or else, Eartha Kitt. I don't know, either one. All right. So McCoy says that they were taking the cat down below decks, and they went around a corner too fast, and they bumped the thing, and the cat got out of the cage, and now they can't find it. And this is my favorite. I'm trying to figure out if this is the one part where Alan Dean Foster tried to get like a reference past like the censors for a kid's show. He's like, that thing's got claws as big as my middle finger. I was like, middle finger is an interesting choice. I was like, that cat gave me the middle finger. Basically, is what I took.
Yeah, he could have forefinger or something. Yeah, no. He's like, I liked how he said we should have the bleeding stopped here in another minute or whatever.
Yeah, it was very humorous. He did say, I'm a doctor, not an animal trainer, so we get that check mark off there. Another thing we like to have is I'm a doctor, not a sayings and stuff like that.
Yep.
So Kirk sends Spock and a security team to recapture it, and then they're sealing off every deck below sick bay so that the cat. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep calling it a cat. It's a Moauv, but it's a cat.
It's a Moauv. So we watched A Christmas Story tonight.
Nice,
right?
Yes, preparation. Yes.
Yeah, and that's one of those movies. And we watch it. I don't know if we watch it every year, but we'll watch it like 3 out of 4 years.
Yeah.
And it's one of those movies that benefits from the fact that if you've seen it before, you're not watching it for the story, but you get to see all the fun little things.
Yes.
And we were really laughing today, Darlene and I, about the dad. The dad's always rolling his eyes, shaking his head. Why is the kid under the sink? Why is the kid eating like a pig off the, all this stuff? And I feel like, what's that guy's name? Darren
McGavin. Darren
McGavin.
Uh-huh.
Kirk here is like Darren McGavin.
Yeah,
he's very just like, he's annoyed, irritated, like. It was fun. I did enjoy how irritable Kirk is in this. He's just like, Jesus Christ, why is this thing on the bridge? Well, how'd you lose it? What is going on?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's great. And he's like, I already hate my job this week, and now I gotta hate it.
And he said, and I don't remember what he said. He said something where it was like, oh, for Pete's sake, but it was it was like some, we always say we wish they would do more of, some reference to another planet or space. Or do you remember what that was?
I don't remember. Yeah. But sure. I maybe it was this. Maybe because I was thinking this. He's like, Scotty, if we were in the Kelvin universe, you could just beam this thing to that planet. So, while we're at transwarp, you could beam it from the ship to the planet. But no, we got to be in the original universe and not the Kelvin universe. Where's J.J. Abrams when we need him? Damn it! Yeah.
He was like, Cranberry Constellation or something. It's like what the heck is going on? I don't remember what he said, but it was good stuff. But yeah, it's like, okay, the cat's loose. Spock's kind of busting Bones' balls a little bit.
Yes.
Bones is in a mood, and they feel, and Kirk feels like they got to figure this out in the next 2 weeks because he can't call the ambassador and say, we lost your cat. Right.
Well, that's the whole thing. There are kids listening to this that were maybe pet sitting for somebody one time, and the cat got out, and they couldn't find the cat, and they're like, "Oh no, this is a story ripped directly from the headlines of the 11-year-old pet sitter." Right? It's like, "Oh no, how am I going to tell Ambassador, my uncle, that whose cat I was supposed to watch for $5? That I lost the cat." Right? So.
Yeah,
Ambassador, my uncle. I don't know.
But I do like the kind of Kirk's Federation logic. Well, we can't say we lost the cat because then they won't want to join the Federation. I guess.
Yeah, this is important. We can't lose this cat or else the Klingons win, and we can't have that. Yes. They've already got Otani. We're in trouble if we let them win.
That's right. Win. Yeah,
that's right. All right. So McCoy and Spock and Prentice, now bandaged, are planning their search, and then while they're doing that, all of a sudden. Prentice meows briefly, and then Spock's like, "Hey, did you just meow?" And he's like, "Holy shit, now I'm meowing." And everybody's meowing all of a sudden, and they don't really know why, although Spock, as is always the case, figures it out pretty quickly. He's like, there must be some sort of a telepathy from the cat.
But at first he doesn't realize. Bones is like, "Hey, are you growling, Spock?" And he's like, "That's ridiculous. Why would you even think that I would meow?" And it's...
It's kind of cute, yeah.
Spock does figure it out.
It is kind of cute, and then her is up on the bridge, and she's here getting calls about fights among the crew and snarling voices, and then she plays it on the bridge speakers, and Gibson reporting from down below and stuff like that. And so Spock goes back to the bridge, and he confirms he's all torn up. His shirt's like torn up. He's got scratches and stuff. And you're like, well, did the cat get you? And they're like, no, we got in a fight. It's like apparently when you get too close to this thing, there's some telepathy causes you to like have. I wrote down aphasia, which is like when you try to speak but the wrong thing comes out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They played with an aphasia virus in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, an episode of that kind of thing where everybody's trying to communicate, but all they're getting is meow, or not that, but something akin to that, right?
Would you say, Butch, that it was aphasia set to stun?
Yeah, that's well done. It's aphasia. I will shoot you with my aphasia, Mr. Bond. Yes, well done. So he's all torn up. They thought they had the cat cornered, but all of a sudden they had a sudden desire to run and hide, which is interesting because the idea is the cat obviously was scared and the cat wants to run and hide, and so all of a sudden everybody near proximity, including the mentally pretty strong Spock, just has an overwhelming urge to do the same thing as the cat does. And the closer they get to the cat, the freaked out the cat gets, and the more freaked out the cat gets, the worse the effect is. It's really kind of a catch-22. And so they're left to go. His suggestion is maybe you just need to call this ambassador. And Kirk's like, I ain't doing that. That sounds like something a lesser captain would do than me. Our job is to figure this out. And our job is to figure this out. Spock figures everything out. Spock, figure this out. I like that. It's right back to normal.
Well, we've definitely seen in the original series why Kirk wouldn't be too keen on calling an ambassador. That never goes well. But this ambassador wasn't too bad.
No, I would say
he's not helpful, but he's not
I would say he's a solid B on the ambassador scale, where most of the ambassadors we met in the original series were D's and below. Some commissioners also. So if you had to rate all the admirals, when I say bad admirals or commissioners, what's the first one that comes to mind for you in the original series?
That Hottentot, whatever.
Papa J. Fox? Is that
Papa J. Fox.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of too. The Hottentot. Yeah. That's great. I love the Hottentot reference. That's a Bloom County reference. That's well done.
Yeah. There was a few of them, but that's the one that always stand out. You will lower your shields and get us all killed. And it's like,
yeah, so he's nowhere in Papa J. Fox's Hottentot Fox. God, Hottentot Fox even sounds better than Papa J. It like rolls off the tongue.
It does.
We got to file that away for later and save that for a good time. So Spock has little information. He suggests calling the ambassador, like I said, but they can't do that without getting, putting the strained situation in an even more strained situation, right? I mean, it's perilous. Well, it's only going to get worse if we lose control of the Enterprise, Spock says, and that convinces Kirk to go ahead and do it. So Kirk tells Uhura to open up frequencies to Moauv, and she tells him off briefly, meow, and then she's like, oh yeah, sorry, Captain, here it is.
She's like, wow, do it yourself. It's like, wow, it's 2023.
That's right. And so it's funny because they talk about it. We have a little problem. Kirk tells him off about, thanks a lot for sending a dangerous animal with us without giving us proper authorization. And the guy's like, hey, it's not dangerous as long as it's kept in its cage and properly treated, which, of course, whoops. And then an argument ensues, and the ambassador says that the longer it takes, the worse it's going to get. But and by the way, it's like we don't even know how to recapture one of these things. We've never lost one, so we don't really know. Our best guess is that if you use these two very specific Moavian tranquilizers, that's the best thing to do. From 300 yards away, by the way, that's your best bet. Get within 300 yards and use a Moavian tranquilizer. Well, that's helpful information.
Yeah, where's the space hippies when you need them? You just crank up the to an ear-splitting pitch, the sound waves. And
do you know what those sound waves sound like when you turn them up to an ear-splitting pitch? You know what they sound like? Thank you. Well done. That's exactly what they sound like. Yeah, because by the end of this episode, that I'm starting to feel like what Dr. Severance. I say Dr. Severin, and I almost said Doc Severinsen. The Tonight Show Band with Doc Severinsen. Yeah.
I'll tell you, I was worried, about what are we about, the 10-minute mark in the episode here?
Yeah.
I was worried I was going to get annoyed with the cat sound. There is a more annoying sound coming than the meowing.
Well, I can't wait for you to tell me when you get there.
Oh, it's when you put your finger on the R and just hold it down.
Oh, that one, yes.
I was like, I get it, lady. You're rolling your R's.
I'm rolling my R's. And for some reason, that's a cat. I don't know. All right, so... Yeah. Kirk tells Bones about the tranquilizer the ambassador suggested. Do we have anything in the medical computer that can, synthesize something that's like that? He's like, I don't even know. I'll look, whatever. Scotty would be like, nothing a little bit of scotch wouldn't cure, but Scotty's nowhere to be found. So Kirk leaves Sulu in charge and tells them to put out a distress signal if it becomes necessary. If you guys lose control, send out a distress signal and ask for help. Basically,
I'm thinking even if the Federation's finest here can't figure out how to gas a room, how about you put out a dish of cat food and put a sedative in it? I mean, this can't be that hard that the crew of the Enterprise can't figure this out.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It feels like a cat toy, a little mouse toy with some catnip in it would work too. I mean, just don't distract it. You just want the cat to be happy. You just need him not to be agitated, right?
Actually, it kind of made me sad. I'm a cat owner, as you know, but it made me sad that the cat was so terrified because obviously this cat is terrified and is projecting that out. It was really freaking so. It made me sad.
The cat obviously had bug eyes, so but I just thought he was excited, or maybe a little catnip. But he's obviously freaked out, right? The cat is freaked out. We can understand that. So, so pretty soon, Spock and Kirk are near the Moauv, and they almost have it, and you can see you can really feel like these waves of this stuff coming off it. And pretty soon, they're just about to go and fight each other, and a commotion starting in the hallway, and the commotion wakes up a crew member who was in her quarters, and that crew member is Lieutenant Maress. And I wrote the kitty girl, although she doesn't look like a kitty girl in the little video we saw, but she's the kitty cat crew member from the animated series, Lieutenant Maress is. And she comes and talks to the Moauv, calms it down so that Kirk and Spock can regain control of themselves. That's the first thing. Calms it enough so that they are no longer at each other's throats, which is important. And she was wakened by the fighting, came out to calm the kitty. That's a metaphor or not, I'm not sure. Spock notes that Maress is a kindred spirit because she's a feline humanoid. So that helps, It's like it makes you wonder why they didn't bring her out in the first place. Although that's a little bit profiling, a little bit when you're like, hey, we got a cat coming on board. Where's Lieutenant Maress at? We could have her baby. I suppose that makes a little bit of sense, and it also was pretty darn prejudiced.
We're painting in broad brush strokes for sure.
That's right. But that being said, who's the one who solves this whole thing? Right, exactly. So Kirk puts Maress in charge of the care and feeding of the Moauv. He tells the ambassador, who's pleased to hear about it, and this is the cool coda of this. He's like, the ambassador says, "I'm pleased to hear that your diverse crew includes people with all sorts of skill sets, that they can bring their own talents to solve a problem." So basically, it's because of the diversity of your crew that you solved your problem. So there's that was very nice. It feels very Star Trek. Yes.
And I'm going to go ahead and say, with all the references and stuff, this felt like The Trouble with Kibbles.
Yeah, that works. There's cat kibbles. I was like, kibbles is what dogs eat, but kibbles is what pets eat, right? So there you go. So then here's the last thing. So the ambassador has one more thing to say. By the way, the cat's name, the Moauv's name is Ewas. And Ewas isn't a him, it's a her. And Ewas is going to have kittens before you arrive. So we just thought you might want to prepare for that. She's going to have 6 to 10 kittens before you get here. So immediately red alert. So this is where we have the fun coda at the end of the episode. Kirk tells Spock to notify Maress and McCoy of the pending arrival. He says, "We wouldn't want any of them to get too frightened, would we?" Da, 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 da. That's the end of our episode. It's a very nice. I would say this is a very family-friendly episode. It didn't drag on at any point and stuff. It's so short that it's just like, they're not trying to fill anything in there. They go through the story points and they make it through, and the story ends, and it's a nice, cute story. You didn't have to think too hard about it, which is fine. I mean, Star Trek benefits from stories that are philosophically challenging sometimes, but sometimes they don't have to be, and it's nice to take up a story once in a while that, is just kind of like a fun, breezy thing. Yeah, so...
I don't know if I would have liked it to be, 45 minutes, but 16 was perfect.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking, right? It's like sometimes you want the full 2-hour movie version. Sometimes you just want to watch one of your favorite episodes, and sometimes you just want something easy and breezy that you can just put on, while you're in the shower or something like that, and by the time you run out of hot water, the episode's over. That's perfect, right? So that's what I'm thinking of. So I thought that was a delightful start. Now we have 2 more racked up to go. This was, as I said, of course, Passage to Moauv, which feels very Journey to Babel, doesn't it?
Yes.
And then the next 2 are In Vino Veritas. That feels like it's going to be a tough one to direct towards a younger audience.
Yeah.
And The Crier in Emptiness. So that's exciting. So we have a couple more to do, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm
curious, because this was a very light-hearted kind of episode. I'm curious if the other 2 will be a little heavier, or if they're going to be the same vein.
Yeah. I mean, they can be a little heavier and still be kind of directed towards, a younger audience than normal, right? So
Yeah.
I suppose that's true. So that'll be exciting. So any last thoughts before we end this brand new channel?
I like the Star Trek the Motion Picture album art.
Yes.
Right.
Oh yes, absolutely. The Bridge of the Enterprise from the TMP Enterprise, not the TOS and not the movie Enterprise, but the
they're obviously trying to tie it into the release of Star Trek the Motion Picture.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
And even though the look of that movie and the books or whatever, or the animated series or the original series were totally different, it's cool. It looks good. It like you said, the voices were close.
Yeah, close enough, I think. Yeah,
thumbs up.
Yeah, especially like that line where they say "fascinating, not Decker." Meow. Yeah, it's fun. All right.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that's going to do it for us here tonight. Stay tuned because we'll be bringing you the other 2 episodes in these little short bits sometime soon. We're nearing the end of the year 2023, and it feels like this is the perfect time to fill some of our evenings with just this kind of easy breezy, beautiful cover girl.
We're going to have more, a few more days off and stuff the rest of the month and all that. So this is a good time to bang out some of this stuff. So it's a fun version. Yeah, good chance to get together.
Absolutely. So join us next time for another short trek here on the CineMcCollough podcast.
Have a good night, Meow.